Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
And I very, very strongly and very, very firmly believe that what is right for ourselves, what is right for each other, what is right for this nation, and what is right for our planet is throwing all of our energy, all of our support, everything that we have behind our candidate, Jill Stein.
I think in this race we're seeing, Donald Trump, was created by the media. You had the president of one of the media conglomerates saying that, well, he may not be good for America, but he sure is good for our bottom line. That really kind of summarizes it, that the media has become sort of the arbiter of our elections. Since when do our elections belong to the big corporate media that's given $4 billion worth of free advertising for Donald Trump, $2 billion worth of free advertising for Hillary Clinton, and the American people are off the charts with their distrust and their dislike of these candidates. It's outrageous that corporatized media has caused this disaster of an election. And my hope, is that we will come out of this election as a very strong movement, whether we are in the White House or whether we are sitting in the White House or sitting in outside of the White House, that we're going to break up these media conglomerates and that we're going to start using antitrust laws so that we can restore real media. I think real media is now in the hands of independent media, and I can't tell you what a breath of fresh air it is to be talking to independent media that's actually thinking about what's going on, that really knows the score, that really understands what the real issues are. The issues are not, Hillary and Donald having a contest over who is the bigger crook, who is the greater corporate tool, who's the bigger racist. This is so outrageous that we have this concocted news cycle right now that has nothing to do with what the American people are actually struggling with. So I say, kudos to you, hats off to you, independent media. Keep up your work, and we are getting stronger as a social movement. I mean, just look who turned out here with just a couple hours worth of notice. We are a very powerful movement. We are unstoppable, and free and independent press is absolutely critical to our future. Thank you for all you're doing. I think right now the most important thing is to open the floodgates for democracy and ensure that we have open and inclusive debates. And I encourage people to participate in our open debates campaigns right now. 90,000 people are now signed on to our petition for open debates. We hope to, increase that exponentially and then go deliver it to this fraud of a commission on presidential debates and give them a sign of what's to come. The American people are not going to go quietly into this dark night and allow our democracy to be suppressed at a time when we are facing all-out crisis on the climate, on the war, on student debt, on nuclear weapons, you name it. This is not an election that we're just going to sit back and be dictated to when black lives are on the firing line, when there's a crisis of immigration. We need to stand up now, and we need to be able to have an inclusive, healing, truthful, democratic conversation to talk about what are the real issues and how we can fix them. We need to take back this power, this promise of our democracy, and opening the debates is a really critical way to begin.
Dr. Stein,
yes.
if I just may, I'm Dave with Project Sanity.
Yes.
And we've been following you around in Philadelphia, and along with these, talking about the real issues, we're doing a digital dialogue and a debate with Evergreen State College in Washington, and one of the issues that's really on their mind is homelessness. It's very bad in Seattle, possibly the worst it is in the country. And Los Angeles, we have the same problem. Here we are on the West Coast, progressive states, progressive cities. How can we address the homelessness issue? What can you do as President of the United States to address homelessness?
Well, there's so much that we can do. It's outrageous that we have more empty homes than we have homeless people. So, there are so many things that we can do. For number one, we can put communities in charge of housing rather than putting developers in charge of our housing, so that housing is being built to meet human needs, not for maximum profit. So we stop gentrification, which is putting lots of people people out of our homes. We maintain public housing. Right now there's a war on public housing, and it's being privatized, and it's being refurbished, privatized, and the price is going up. So lots of people who are very dependent on low-cost housing are being really thrown out right now. So we need to expand public housing again. We need to stabilize rents and allow communities to have rent control so that the price of housing isn't rising. It's not rocket science how to fix this. The problem is that the predators are running the show here. And, the bottom line is we need to vote them out of office. Those who are collaborating with the big money that's setting predatory housing policy, predatory healthcare policy, with the cost of an EpiPen now costing $400 when it contains $1 worth of ingredients. This is not a future that's survivable. And what we see happening here is that we in the social movements are beginning to get together and to say that we have the power here, that when we get together across the spectrum of the issues of justice, that we are an unstoppable force and we are going to take back our democracy.
Very good. Obviously, we're a ragtag group of citizen journalists putting this together on Project Sanity, and we are doing this digital dialogue, and we hope an open digital debate. Would you be willing to do a type of digital debate with Governor Gary Johnson and anyone else that's qualified under the League of Women Voters rules? Would you do a digital debate with an open debate with Gary Johnson and others?
It sounds like something I would love to do. The devil's always in the details of the scheduling, but in principle, I think the idea of a digital debate is fabulous. And yes, if the candidates who are actually on the ballot and for enough voters that they could win the election are in this debate, this is exactly the debate that we need to have in as many formats as possible. The Republicans had a gazillion debates, and the Democrats did in 2012 as well. The American people desperately need real information now about what their choices are because they have rejected the two choices that they are being force-fed. So let's let them hear about what their real choices are.
It's come down to him or her. How did this occur? If I gotta pick one or the other, really gotta be her. Hillary or Trump, the establishment or a punk. Got me voting for who I feel is. I'm voting for who I want, and I get it. Politics is a little bit compromised, mixed with empty promises, sprinkled with blatant lies. But wise and sacrifice always fall on the people's side. Surprise, not this time. I refuse to fall in line. Fall in line. You don't get my vote cause I'm voting for children. No more bibbies voting for the lesser of two evils. I'm going greener, power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. No more bibbies voting for the lesser of two evils. Power to the people. Power to the people. I'm going greener, power to the people.